Today's search for answers why a Saskatoon boy died while under the care of a group home. Police in pursuit. A TikTok trend is taking off in Canada. And going out on a limb, the competition that saw participants go straight to the top.
This is CTV News with Chantel Saunders.
Good evening. A Saskatoon family is looking for answers tonight. They want to know what happened prior to their child's death almost 3 years ago. He was in the care of the province at the time. An inquest into his death began today, and as Keenan Sorokon reports, they're hoping to understand what happened and find closure.
Were dismissive of her concerns and downplayed the condition of her son's health in the days before his death. 14-year-old Brandon Schaefer Kovacs died at Jim Pattison Children's Hospital in November 2022 while he was under the care of the Ministry of Social Services and living at Eagles Nest Youth Ranch. The boy's mom, Chantel Schaefer, was first to testify Monday, saying her son had mental health and physical challenges that required him to be under 24/7 care. More than a week before his death, Schaefer said her son seemed off and had a stomach ache. During a separate visit that week, she said her son was slumped over in bed slurring his words before he was sent to hospital without her knowledge. He would die there 3 days later. Schaefer says she was infrequently informed about her child's condition from group home staff and says she asked for him to go to hospital earlier and staff wouldn't respond. During her testimony, we learned Schaefer Kovacs had 16 appointments in 9 months for his mental health, pneumonia, asthma, and diet problems, some of which his mom knew about and some she found out about afterwards. A doctor testifying in the afternoon said Schaefer Kovacs died after getting infected with a combination of streptococcal pneumonia and influenza A, and said had Schaefer Kovacs come to hospital earlier, absolutely he would have had a better chance of living. A group home staff member testified Schaefer Kovacs asked staff to go to the hospital days earlier, and senior colleagues responded by saying the boy was playing up cold symptoms to get out of going to school. The inquest is expected to take at least 2 more days. Keenan Sorokon, CTV News, Saskatoon.
SaskTel says it's still looking into the cause of a massive outage last week. The outage started at about 8:30 Friday morning. Individual and business cell customers were having trouble with calls. The outage lasted until about 5 in the afternoon. The Crown Corporation says it hasn't quite figured out where the issue started.
We are still conducting a thorough investigation, but we were able to restore services because we discovered that there was a system network failure. We were able to reroute traffic within the network, which then allowed us to restore services. But as I said, we're conducting a thorough investigation to determine what caused the system network failure so that we can avoid similar outages in the future.
The company hopes to conclude its investigation by the end of the week, but cannot confirm the exact timeline. SaskTel has about 3,000 business customers and around 600,000 customers connected to its cellular and voice services. The NDP says the Saskatchewan government's deficit could be even larger than reported last week. It claims the government is using a carbon tax-related line item to supplement the number. The province says saying it's to account for the industrial carbon tax, which remains in effect across the country. Last week, the finance minister reported a projected $349 million deficit in a first quarter update.
This government is either planning to impose a carbon tax, which means they lied, or their budget deficit is actually $500 million larger, $815 million at the end of Q1, which again means they lied. And they're using these carbon tax dollars to prop up their fictional budget.
In response, the government says it's seeking the removal of the industrial carbon tax with plans to replace the federal rate with its own provincial plan pending approval. As discussions continue, SaskPower is absorbing the cost of not collecting the carbon tax payments. Saskatchewan pharmacists will soon be able to substitute medications under certain circumstances. It's a move the province hopes will ease pressure on the healthcare system. Here's Jacob Carr with how pharmacy groups feel about the move.
Being able to prescribe substitutions for medications under certain circumstances is a big win for the Pharmacy Association of Saskatchewan, following the province's announcement of new training being offered that will allow them to do so. According to the association, this will expand pharmacists' scope and increase capacity in the healthcare system at the same time. Adding the training required to properly implement the new policy will be a refresher course for pharmacists.
Well, pharmacists are actually medication specialists, so they are fully aware of substituting different medications as the case may be. This allows it to actually take place.
In a news release sent last week, Health Minister Jeremy Cockrell highlighted the importance of Saskatchewan's pharmacists and what this will mean for their patients, saying pharmacists are trusted, highly skilled health professionals who in many communities are the primary access point for healthcare services. Giving them the ability to prescribe alternative medications means Saskatchewan patients can benefit from more timely and accessible healthcare. The provincial opposition is in favor of the move, which has already been implemented in 9 other provinces and territories.
This is something that we'd support, right? We want to increase access to primary health care and ease in accessing whatever that looks like for Saskatchewan people.
Fougere says this policy will especially benefit remote and rural residents who do not have a healthcare practitioner in their community.
Because if you have, say, heartburn medications not working properly, you can't get what you need, it can be substituted right away by the pharmacist rather than going to an urban center and finding a doctor to help you out. So these are just ways to build greater capacity.
With this announcement being made last week, Fougere says it will have an impact quickly as many pharmacists are able to take the necessary training right away. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
A BC man is dead following a rollover west of Unity. It happened Saturday afternoon at highways 14 and 675. RCMP say prior to the crash, they received several reports about the vehicle being driven erratically. Officers tried to pull over the vehicle, but it didn't stop and instead sped off. When police arrived at the scene of the rollover, they tried to save the driver, but he died of his injuries. The Saskatchewan Serious Incident Response Team says the incident is not within its mandate and will not investigate. A man was seriously injured after being hit by a vehicle in Meadow Lake over the weekend. It happened Saturday night at about 9:30. RCMP say he was walking along Highway 4 when he was hit. His injuries described as serious. The driver remained at the scene. There is no word on whether charges will be laid. Prince Albert police are renewing calls for information into the disappearance of a man who has been missing for 3 years. Henry McAdam was last seen at a business in the 500 block of 15th Street East in July of 2022. He was reported missing just over a month later. Anyone with information about what happened to Henry McAdam is asked to call police or report to Crime Stoppers. A social media trend has police officers chasing after a suspect. But as CTV's Laura Woodward reports, it's all staged and not everyone thinks the idea is a hit.
It's a TikTok trend challenging police officers to a foot pursuit. The video's taking off in Canada. This one was filmed in Broadview, Saskatchewan. That's Taylor Lutz being chased.
I was actually kind of nervous because I was wearing flats and a dress skirt, so I was like, I don't have a lot of motion. My RCMP guy did actually tap my shoulder, so I lost, but it was still super fun. I love it. I think we're building a good relationship with the RCMP community.
Our elder, his grandson, and our wonderful cop.
The trend is seeing praise online, comments applauding officers for being good sports, but not everyone is on board.
I know people are having fun, but you really got to take a step back and think about what are the possible consequences.
Sociology professor Christopher Schneider, who has written about policing and social media, worries someone could get hurt.
Go.
Why would we take the risk here if the police are playing games with members of the community and chasing them around? It seems like a sort of a bad idea.
He says there are less risky ways for on-duty officers to connect with their community and showcase the human side of law enforcement. The RCMP declined an interview about the trend. Laura Woodward, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Well, Jeff, I think we're going to be saying hot a lot this week.
Yes, it's going to be a hot week right across, not just Saskatchewan, but across most of Western Canada. The coastal regions of BC, not quite as hot. But otherwise, we are looking at a big high pressure ridge that's in place, and it doesn't look like it's moving all that much. And so, yes, sunny skies, hot temperatures, and yes, it's going to stay in place into the long weekend. We'll see.
This year's crop isn't the only thing some Saskatchewan producers are worried about. A few are helping out farmers from Ukraine who have seen their agriculture industry destroyed by the invasion of Russia. Virginia DeClute has more.
Years into its war with Russia, Ukrainian farmers are rebuilding the country's agriculture industry with help from the Canadian prairies.
It is showing that there are ways to grow, and not everything is so gloomy as they see it in Ukraine.
He says small producers in Ukraine are especially vulnerable. Men can be conscripted while their farms are damaged.
They are very dependent on what they produce, and when Russians came, were passing through the villages and through their locations, they destroyed a lot of their houses and facilities.
His organization collects donations from abroad to rebuild farms. But they also work with foreign experts to improve existing practices. An Alberta-based ag coach for regenerative farming, who has deep roots in the Yorkton area, is one of those experts.
The end of June, flew over for 3 weeks. We toured around to 12 different farms. We looked at 28 soil pits, different fields, and got to see the countryside.
He says it's interesting to see just how many similarities we share with Ukraine when it comes to agriculture.
And you look at the topography, the landscape, the plants that were growing there, like the weeds even, it's all very, very similar.
Greenishin says it's a challenge to bring people to Ukraine, as many are afraid.
They never regret it. On the contrary, they were leaving Ukraine with huge emotions, positive emotions, and even air raid alerts that happen very often do not look so scary.
He and some other Ukrainian producers will be coming to Canada in October to learn more about regenerative farming practices. Virginia DeClute, CTV News, Yorkton.
It was setup day for the Prince Albert Kennel and Obedience Club. The club spent today getting ready for the all-breed dog show. It's set to take over the PA exhibition grounds tomorrow through Thursday. This is the Kennel Club's 54th annual show, and it's part of the Saskatchewan show circuit. Organizers say 150 dogs will be showing off for the judges and vying for titles. This year, the club is hosting judges from across the country and 2 guest judges from Australia.
The public is welcome to come and attend, welcome to come and see the dogs and meet the exhibitors. Just always ask before you pet the dog at the show, because some of them have had hours of grooming to get ready for their 2 minutes in the ring.
The Kennel Club hosts another dog show in March. A family-friendly festival of the arts returning to Saskatoon over the weekend. WeGo, put on by the Ramey Modern, features music, food, and interactive art for people to enjoy. This is the 5th year that the free event has been hosted in and around the Ramey Modern. From puppet making to karaoke, there was something for everyone.
We're at the last, real weekend of summer. School's starting right away. One last chance for everyone in the family to get together and do something that, appeals to all generations.
The museum also hosted a low-sensory WeGo day with indoor-only activities. Since 2012, the International Chocolate Awards have been crowning the best chocolate makers from around the world. This year, rural Saskatchewan was represented by 2 makers creating their own unique blend. McFavel dives into the delicious details.
A married couple from the village of Siemens are celebrating some sweet success for their homemade chocolate at a prestigious international competition. Dionysia Chocolate, named after Lower Sandoval's grandmother, scored 2 bronze-level wins at the 2025 International Chocolate Awards. Their unique bean-to-bar blends are made with great care and attention, applying their signature taste during roasting.
There's a lot of trial and error with the roasting process before we get to actually making a chocolate that we like or that we will sell, because we have to test different roasts how they affect the flavor, and then also see how that turns out.
The chocolate makers are also parents of 2 young children. When the day is complete and their kids are asleep is when their pantry turns into a makeshift chocolate factory.
I'm busy with the kids at the day, and in the night is the process. At the night is the magic coming and the smelling cacao coming. We are happy doing this because we like to do that.
Sandoval moved from Colombia over 5 years ago. Chocolate making is a part of her family's history. She says the process makes her feel close to her roots and culture.
My business is not big. I'm happy to do that because it's something healthy. It's tradition. It's flavor. It's smiling. It's love.
Going forward, Dionysia Chocolates plan to continue their current process, eventually offering lines of chocolate which celebrate Colombian culture. They also hope to one day have access to a registered kitchen to offer their unique blends on a wider scale.
And that's one of the things we like about the way we do chocolate is we're not just creating a uniform product. Every time you have one of our bars, you're getting something very unique.
Savoring the past while looking to the future, bringing the taste of Colombia to the prairies and beyond. Mick Fable, CTV News, Siemens.
So I'm going to...
The upcoming Labor Day Classic is marking a big milestone this year. A retro rider flag was raised at City Hall in Regina with current rider players pulling the halyard. Team mascot Gainer the Gopher, along with some rider cheerleaders, were also on hand for the big event. The flag raising was held ahead of the 60th annual Labor Day Classic against the rival Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Regina's mayor is encouraging people to paint the town green, with businesses and homes showcasing their rider pride and residents wearing green all week. Saturday will be Family Day at Mosaic Stadium. Fans can get autographs from riders, players, and have a chance to walk on the turf. Still to come, the search for a Norwegian hiker ends in tragedy next door in Manitoba. And up next, the Prime Minister looks to draw closer ties with other world partners. You're watching CTV News live from downtown Saskatoon. Thanks for staying with us. Prime Minister Mark Carney looking for new friends amid Canada's trade war with the U.S. While he spent much of today in Poland to announce a new strategic partnership there, he's now in Germany in his push to draw closer ties to Europe. CTV's Abigail Beeman reports.
Belief, the maple leafs on your shoulders. They feel hope.
Prime Minister Mark Carney stressed to Canadian troops in Warsaw and European leaders, Canada is ready to spend big on defense.
We will quadruple our spending on defense between now and the end of the decade.
Not only promising to meet NATO's 2% of GDP spending target by this year, but the new target of 5% by 2030.
We have your backs. We're serious about this.
Carney bringing his defense minister along to many European meetings, including the trip to Ukraine, which marks a shift from the past.
I think what it indicates is that the landscape has changed. I think Canadians know that the landscape has changed, that the geopolitics are changing, that the threat landscape has changed.
David McGuinty says Canada's defense plan needs diversification.
We're not only making a diplomatic visit, but we're really interested in diversifying our alliances and our defense investments, and having Minister McGuinty there puts an exclamation point behind that.
Diversification. We've heard that word a lot from the Prime Minister about trade, too, given the trade war with the United States.
Poland needs reliable partners that are ready to cooperate closely in the nuclear energy sector, and also as regards RES, renewable energy sources.
Poland has the fastest growing economy in the EU, and the two leaders recommitted to an agreement signed last year, but now focusing on trade, energy, and defense.
Our trade relationship last year grew by something like 22% in a single year. So the appetite is really there. It also means that people are kind of knocking on our door more.
And from Warsaw, the Prime Minister ends his day here in Berlin with a full day Tuesday focused on those same themes, deepening trade and defense ties. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Berlin.
New figures show U.S. border guards have been ramping up searches of electronic devices. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection data reveals almost 15,000 devices were searched between April and July. That's the highest number since 2018. About 78% of travelers checked were not American. The searches typically involve an agent looking through the device's contents. Advanced searches can be conducted if there's a national security concern or suspicion someone broke the law. South Korea's president has arrived at the White House. The new president is meeting with his U.S. counterpart, Donald Trump. Trump has questioned South Korea's political stability. The country has been in a month-long political crisis after the former president declared martial law in December. Trade was expected to be a top talking point after Trump agreed to a 15% tariff on imports from South Korea. The body of a Norwegian hiker missing in the Manitoba wilderness has been found. 29-year-old Stefan Skuttelvik was declared missing August 14th when his dog arrived at his final destination without him. RCMP say his remains were discovered during a ground search not far from his jacket that was found on Friday. The body was transported to Winnipeg for an autopsy. Air Canada customers looking to file a complaint with a federal regulator over their experience during the flight attendants' strike should be prepared to wait. The Canadian Transportation Agency says its backlog of Air Canada, or air travel complaints rather, stood at about 85,000 as of August 14th, 2 days before the strike even started. The backlog has been growing since new federal rules in 2019 set compensation amounts for flight delays and cancellations. The agency says it's put in a new system in 2023 to increase its capacity to deal with complaints, but the number of grievances has also grown. It's been an incredible year so far for Canadian women in sport. Golfer Brooke Henderson won her second Canadian Open this weekend, marking a major comeback for her. CTV's John Venevalley-Rao has more.
Little kiss. For Brooke Henderson, it was a moment to embrace after a masterful performance on home soil. The comeback is complete. The pride of Smith Falls, Ontario, back on top and showing once more why she's Canada's most successful golfer ever.
This week was beyond special. To be able to finish it off and hoist the trophy again is extremely cool. It feels super surreal still.
The win marking her 14th on the LPGA Tour and ending a 2-year drought. She first won the Canadian Women's Open in 2018, and to do it again at age 27 is remarkable.
I'm just super excited that this actually happened. It's like a dream come true again.
You can't help but reflect on how the young up-and-coming talent has been inspired by Brooke's accomplishments.
Look at McIntosh go. That accomplishment follows others by women athletes this year. Isn't she amazing? Including Toronto's Summer McIntosh, who made a splash in Singapore, claiming 4 gold medals at the World Aquatics Championship. And then there's Victoria Mboko, also 18, who weeks ago stunned the tennis world, winning at the Canadian Open in Montreal. Though today fell short of expectations as she appeared at the U.S. Open for the first time, dominated by her Czech opponent, a 2-time Grand Slam champion. Still, for Canadian women in sport, overall, it's been an incredible and inspirational run.
What we can speak to is hoping that this is going to change participation rates for girls in sport in the future. If they can see it, they can be it, and they can be the next Brooke, Victoria, or Summer.
As for Brooke Henderson, she kept saying her latest victory seems surreal, calling it a huge win for Canada and Canadian golf. John Venevalley-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
My name is Michelle Alders. Our brilliant finale to the 20th season of the Lyle Guston Recital series will feature superb tenor Andrew Haji and award-winning pianist Helen Bakay. They will be performing art songs, opera arias, Gilbert and Sullivan, and more. Our recital will take place on Tuesday, August the 26th at 7:30 p.m. at St. John's Anglican Cathedral. For tickets, go to www.gustonhouse.ca. So, Jeff, what's the weather going to be like?
Well, this is tomorrow, and I can tell you I'm pretty darn confident it's going to be a hot day. So, yes, you'll be indoors enjoying some lovely music. But let's take a look at the numbers. 30 degrees for a daytime high tomorrow, mainly sunny conditions. So by showtime, obviously, it'll be a little cooler than that, but it'll still be a warm situation. Once again, gustonhouse.ca is where you can get your tickets to see that concert or hear that concert and do both. But that's tomorrow, 7:30 at St. John's Anglican on Spadina. All right, let's take a look at our numbers. We've got ourselves a hot temperature still, 28 degrees in Saskatoon, 27 in both Prince Albert and the Battlefords, and hardly any wind, so there's no breeze to sort of take the edge off the heat, at least not at this moment. The almanac for Saskatoon, a high of 30 degrees, so 7 degrees above seasonal for this time of late August. 38, though, that was the record set in 1930, and it still stands in the record cold temperature, a cold -2 degrees from 1934. The sun came up at 6:06. It's going to go down at 8:10.
Coming up, a popular pastime revs up in Saskatchewan. What's drawing renewed excitement on the track.
Welcome back. Well, Mother Nature, she's the one with some hot days in store for us. So if you were born to run either on the Meewasin Trail or back streets or Thunder Road or crossing a bridge for a meeting across the river, you may want to do your outdoor activities in the morning or at night, because afternoons will be very hot. So hot it might feel like jungle land. And overnight temperatures will be coolish for some places, but nowhere near a 10th Avenue freeze out. I'm glad there's only 8 tracks on that album. Anyhow, moving on. Yes, the 50th anniversary of Born to Run. We've got ourselves a big high-pressure ridge that is in place, and it isn't moving. And so we are going to continue to have some very hot temperatures. And contrasting that, it's going to be cooler and wetter and a lot more active out in eastern Canada and Atlantic Canada as well. 28 degrees in Saskatoon, 27 in Prince Albert and the Battlefords. Our hotspot, that was Leader in Kindersley, a tie at 30 degrees, 30.1 to be exact. Bratz Lake, the cold spot at 2. Around the province we go. Temperatures right now is basically hanging around 27 degrees for many locations. A little cooler down around Estevan where it's 23. Into central parts of the province, temperatures don't range all that much. In fact, just a 3-degree range here from 4-degree range from 25 in Spiritwood up to 29 in Rosetown and Kindersley. Making our way up north, well, warm temperatures up there as well in the low to high 20s. It gets as warm as 27 in Buffalo Narrows and La Ronge in this part of our map. And no one is at 30 degrees right now in Regina, or in southern Saskatchewan, but in Regina, temperatures are hot. And Indian Head, we're looking at 26, the same in Weyburn, 26 in Assiniboia, 25 in Coronach, 24 in Carlisle, and 25 in Melville. Not much to report on the futurecast, not much in the way of active weather, maybe some few pop-up showers tomorrow near the Saskatchewan-Manitoba border, but you can see those pressure lines staying far apart, so it's going to be a relatively calm day wind-wise. Temperatures in the high 20s for northern Saskatchewan with cloudy or mainly cloudy skies. A mix of sky conditions tomorrow and slightly warmer than the north, basically around 30 degrees for west central Saskatchewan. In the southwest, temperatures around 31 or 30 degrees with mainly sunny or sunny conditions. That's true of southeastern Saskatchewan on Tuesday with temperatures in the high 20s, low 30s, 32 for Regina and Moose Jaw, 31 for Watrous, but 29 degrees the expected high in Melfort, Humboldt, and Hudson Bay. On to the Battlefords. Slight chance of showers tonight, 6 degrees, 30 degrees tomorrow with not much in the way of wind. And then on Wednesday, mainly sunny skies and in the low 30s and staying there until Sunday. Monday, holiday Monday, 29 degrees and mainly sunny skies. Prince Albert, slight chance of showers tonight, mainly cloudy skies, 29 degrees. And then we've got ourselves 30 degrees on Wednesday, warming up to 31 on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 30, and 1 week from today, 27 degrees. And finally, Saskatoon, slight chance of showers tonight. The pattern stays in place as it was for the Battlefords and Prince Albert. And tomorrow, mainly sunny skies, 30 degrees, and the 7-day outlook staying hot right through the long weekend. So get ready for some summer-like conditions like we haven't seen all summer long.
You will be much more than that.
Netflix brought a sing-along version of its movie K-Pop Demon Hunters to more than 1,700 North American theaters, and it paid off over the weekend big time, bringing in $18 million US. That knocked horror thriller Weapons into second place with $15.6 million in ticket sales. Freakier Friday slid into third with $9.2 million bucks. Oasis kicked off its North American leg of its reunion tour at Rogers Stadium in Toronto last night. The band, fronted by brothers Liam and Noel Gallagher, performed in front of an estimated 50,000 fans. It was their first show in Toronto since 2008. A rainstorm during the concert didn't appear to impact the fan experience. And in about, well, let me check my watch, in about 10 minutes, they will take to the stage again tonight in Toronto. One of the most influential musicians of the generation is returning to the big screen. Prince in IMAX. Prince, Sign of the Times, the superstar's self-directed 1987 concert film, has been digitally remastered and is set to be re-released in IMAX theaters for 1 week beginning Friday. Now, there's no word on whether or not Under the Cherry Moon will get the same treatment.
All right, Jeff, time for Pick of the Day. What did you decide today? Well, we decided we always get a ton of great pictures, and some people send us multiples, but we'll settle on these three. So let's take a look. First of all, we still have storm pictures coming in, and this one from Brian. And here are some storm pictures I took on its way when the storm was on its way on Wednesday. It almost looks like a face down where the shadow blocks the setting sun, and it kind of looks like a bit of a face there, but there you go. Thank you for sharing that. This one comes to us from James. He says, hi, Jeff, here's a picture from this morning. A fountain in one of Warman's lakes hasn't been working for a bit, and it looks like the double-crested cormorant community has repurposed it as a safe resting and sunning spot. And finally, from Bryson, hello, Jeff. John and Mildred Fraze, depending on where you're from, celebrated their 60th anniversary in Nipawin on Saturday. John played the lap harp and sang a love song, and King Charles also sent a letter of congratulations. John and Mildred's advice for having a long-lasting marriage is always to make up after a fight. Good advice and congratulations. What a great-looking couple in the 60th wedding anniversary. Very, very impressive. And if you'd like to send us an image, you can do so by sending it to cfqcnews@ctv.ca. Still to come on CTV News, putting the pedal to the metal, the sport that's on track to be even more popular in Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan's go-kart community is slowly increasing in size, with a small but dedicated group of female drivers embracing the sport. Sierra D'Souza Butts has those details.
Kart racing for 20 years, Alexis Budel says it's the community of motorists that brings her back every year.
That is the best part to this sport. I have a family we met 2 years ago and absolutely walk in their house like it's mine. That's a second family, and everybody here. Everybody looks out for each other.
Traveling from outside of Winnipeg to Regina, Budel is one of 7 women representing the South Sask Kart Club out of its 60 members.
There's been a huge uptick in women in the sport, which is fantastic. There's never enough. It's always fantastic to beat the boys. So
the number of female drivers has increased little by little over the years, with women partaking in the sport for various reasons.
I had to sell my horses. I was moving off a farm into city, and that was the comment, trade horsepower for horsepower. So I had loads of questions, and I came to watch 6 years ago, and my daughter and I started that next year.
When my dad got diagnosed with hemochromatosis, he wanted to find a hobby that me and him could both partake in. So we sold one of our cars, bought our first go-kart, got the suit, got everything, and it was just pull the cord and race at that point.
Haley Goulash, who also joined the racing community because of her family, says she enjoys the high-speed action karting brings.
I really just enjoy being on the track. I enjoy racing. I enjoy the competitive nature of it. Yeah, there's no other feeling than being behind a
a wheel going 120 kilometers an hour. There's no feeling that matches it.
Adding, the nonprofit club hopes to see the next generation of girls and boys keep the sport alive.
We really want to keep growing the sport. It's the quickest, the best way, the most affordable way into motorsport by all means. So for the little guys, it's the best way for them to get into it. It's the safest way to get into motorsport. So for us to keep the club alive, it gives everybody an opportunity to get into motorsport at one time or another.
Sierra D'Souza Butts, CTV News, Regina.
When we come back, I'll look at the riders' underwhelming performance. And later, Saskatoon has a trucktastic time.
All right, let's take a look at the rural forecast for tomorrow, and it's going to be hot just about everywhere. North and south of the Yellowhead, look at these temperatures in and around 30 degrees and a mix of sky conditions. Some places like Watchus, Outlook, and Kindersley getting more in the way of sunshine. That's not necessarily the case for Wynyard, but it is the case for Hudson Bay, mainly sunny and 29 degrees. And now as we take a look down south, north and south of the Trans-Canada, a lot more in the way of sunshine and slightly warmer. It's, you know, it's not big time warmer, but slightly warmer. Look at that. Lumsden, 32 degrees for a high tomorrow. Number of locations at 30 or 31 degrees. And, ooh, the cool spots at 28 degrees in East End and Cypress Hills areas in Carlisle. And what about Kenosha? All right, Kenosha, looking good. If you're out at the lake, maybe you've got some time off still, looking good. Partly cloudy skies, 32 degrees, winds out of the southwest at 10, so a very light breeze. So things are looking pretty good at Kenosha Lake. And that is where internet plans of up to 1 gig are available from SaskTel.
The Saskatoon Hilltops exacted revenge on the team that beat them 2 weeks ago in Winnipeg. Saskatoon took an early lead and never looked back, leading 25-0 going into halftime against a team that scored 31 points on them last time out. The running game was well spread between Charles Sawi and David Collins, who each got into the end zone on more than one occasion. Jace Moles caught 2 interceptions on defense, helping the Hilltops to a 42-15 home victory. After a bye week, the Hilltops head to Regina September 6th. They won't be back at SMF Field until September 27th against the Regina Thunder. The Riders' offensive line fell victim to another Calgary Stampede on the weekend. The Stampeders' defense rush got to Trevor Harris 4 times, giving up no points in the second half as Calgary beat the Riders 32-15. Harris took some hard hits in this one and was replaced late in the game by Jake Mayer. Despite looking hurt on one of the sacks, both Harris and head coach Corey Mace claim the move was made not because of the injury, but because the game was out of reach.
Yeah, I thought at that time, we're down 17, I think, and, we only had 15 points there, and we weren't being able to move the ball, and, D-line was getting after the quarterback there, and we're sitting in the situation where we're at. I just thought it made more sense for us, let's get some live reps there with Jake, and I thought he was fairly efficient for himself, and you never know how that goes, going down the line. Just to get as many reps as you possibly can. So, yeah, man, just a decision I thought about for the future of the season.
The sky's not falling. We know who we are. We know where we're headed. And, certain moments and certain games are never going to define who you are in a season. What's going to define you is who you become. And, it's what I've said all along. We started out 8-1, and, everybody's talking about how much of a juggernaut we are. But I just try to tell everybody it's not about the wins and losses at this point. It's about becoming who we want to become. And this is no different. So you face a little adversity, and it's going to reveal who we are. And so we'll find out, a lot about our championship medal that we've talked about. And I think we have great guys in the locker room, and I think we'll respond accordingly.
Brett Lowther also missed his only field goal attempt, which has some wondering if he will be in the lineup when the Riders play the Bombers in the Labor Day Classic. Meanwhile, the football community is mourning the loss of a former Saskatchewan Roughrider scout. Craig Smith died over the weekend after a lengthy illness. For 2 decades, Smith was a scout with 4 CFL teams. He joined the Riders in 2010 and was part of the organization when they won the 2013 Grey Cup on home turf. Nothing slowed him down until he was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. Smith was 69 years old. There's a push by some shareholders to make Cineplex a more valuable company. Lindsay Biscaya explains.
One of the largest shareholders of Cineplex is pressuring the company to buy back its shares. Windward Management is also calling on Cineplex to sell non-core assets and prepare for an outright sale, arguing the stock could nearly triple to $30 a share. And here's a look at how the trading day ended today. Another dip for the Canadian dollar, putting it just over 72 cents US. West Texas Intermediate is up, ending the day at 64.80. Western Canadian Select is also up 17 cents to 50.77. And the TSX dropped 163 points to 28,169. Those are your business headlines. I'm Lindsay Biscaya.
Turning to local gas prices now, the average price in Saskatoon just under $1.44 a litre. The lowest price in town is $1.24.9. On Saskatchewan markets, Cameco finished the day at $103.94 and Nutrien was up 73 cents. Coming up, the event revving things up to support a Saskatoon organization. Then the competition climbing to new heights.
Hey there, it's Derek Chesney here at the Saskatoon Crime Stoppers. This week on Crime Stoppers Unmasked, we're looking for the public's assistance in identifying those responsible for a theft of a motor vehicle. On June 27, 2025, a male entered a car dealership in the 600 block of Brand Court and made inquiries to purchase a car. The male then took out a beige 2025 BMW X3 M50 out for a test drive with an employee. On the return to the dealership, the male sped off by himself and did not return. Attempts were made to connect with the vehicle's tracking system were unsuccessful as the system had quickly been deactivated. The male suspect is fair-skinned, 5'11", 200 pounds, with short hair, 30 to 40 years of age, and was wearing a red ball cap, white Puma shirt, black pants, and white runners. Photos of the suspect and vehicle are on our homepage and Instagram. Do you have information about this brazen theft or who is responsible? If so, please give us a call at 1-800-222-8477 or leave a tip online at SaskatoonCrimeStoppers.com. We pay cash rewards of up to $2,000 for information that leads to an arrest. Tips are completely anonymous. We don't want your name, we just want your assistance. Saskatoon Crime Stoppers, do your part to stop crime in our community.
Select Hair Service is brought to you by Sage, the beauty bar.
We've got another great night of entertainment coming up right here on CTV starting at 7 with American Ninja Warrior.
And Match Game. Anyhow.
You gonna keep going?
Well, no, that's while they're writing their answers. It's the classic song.
Before we go, I want to show you that vehicles of all sizes drew a crowd at Prairieland Park over the weekend. Trucktastic, featuring everything from machinery to cement trucks, vans, and semis. The annual event is a fundraiser for Family Services Saskatoon. It gives people an opportunity to check out some vehicles they wouldn't typically see up close. The family-friendly event featured more than 40 different displays.
If you imagine all sorts of big equipment and trucks, we have police cars here, we have cement trucks, we have garbage trucks, buses, all the things that you've always wondered about. Big equipment, we have it here so that children and those who are young at heart can come down and check them out.
The event has been running since 2017. Well, competition at Kinsman Park over the weekend was taken to new heights. 43 people scaled to the top of trees as part of a tree climbing championship put on by the International Society of Arboriculture's Prairie Chapter. Participants competed in 5 events that saw them install rope, move around the trees, and perform rescues.
Everybody's kind of thinking outside the box. Arborists are very good problem solvers, and so we're always looking at, every tree is different, every scenario is different, every piece of equipment is different. So we're always solving puzzles the whole time, and so this is basically who can figure out the puzzle the quickest and the safest and that kind of stuff.
The top competitors will eventually go on to the International Championships in New Zealand later this year.
No, very cool.
It is. I didn't know that was a competition.
Well, and when they swing from tree to tree like Tarzan, excellent.
Yes, that's another part of the category, I'm sure.
I'm sure it is. Let's take a look at our numbers tomorrow, and hooey! 30. By 9 a.m., it'll be 18 degrees. By noon, 24. Mid-afternoon, 30 degrees. By 5 o'clock, 29. And not much in the way of wind.
No, it's going to be hot. All right, thanks for watching. Have a great evening.